And joining us from the jump here in this second hour, it is Jo Madden to look around the Stanley Cup postseason. Another thrilling doubleheader last night in the National Hockey League with more in store, setting the stage for the weekend as well. Jo, as always, we appreciate you waking up early with us here on the early line.
Oh, it's the best time of day to be up. So thanks you guys for having me. And I know as hockey fans, everyone's super excited for these games tonight and probably a little tired from watching those games last night because they were absolutely adrenaline filled.
Thrilling to the very end, including in Carolina, Jo, where we go to overtime for a second consecutive game between the Hurricanes and the Rangers. Game 2 featured 2 overtimes. It was over rather quickly in the extra session last night in Charlotte, or in Raleigh, excuse me. But Artemi Panarin scores the game winner for the New York Rangers, 3-2, as the Rangers go into Carolina and win on road ice. Jo, the Canes were a minus 170 home ice favorite last night. We expected, with the change of venue in Game 3, for Carolina to pull off its first victory of this second-round series. That did not occur. What does it show you about what the Rangers are pulling off here in the postseason?
This team is poised to absolutely win the Stanley Cup. They're playing with so much chemistry out there on the ice. Their kill is being phenomenal. They held the Carolina Hurricanes last night to 0-5 on their power play. And yes, they weren't able to convert on theirs either, but this is something the Carolina Hurricanes have been able to do all season, is convert on their power play. So for them to have the 5 opportunities and not be able to get things done. But last night, it really came down to Igor Shesterkin again. He was so phenomenally strong in Game 2. He brought that into Game 3. He stopped 45 of 47 shots on his net last night. When we look at the physicality between these teams, Carolina was actually the more physical team. They were able to get more hits out there. But the Rangers just being able to pull things together and get it done. And you talk about Panarin, the Breadman being able to get it done. Lots of people saying that was a little bit of luck because it was a changeover in transition. And I understand that, but still, at the end of the day, the Rangers able to do it. Undefeated now in the postseason, you guys. 7-0 in the postseason. The President's Cup trophy sure isn't looking like it's cursed them at all.
No, it certainly doesn't, Joe. And you take a look at the game flow last night. You see the goal early by the Carolina Hurricanes. Okay, we're back in the series. Then they're down 2-1 late. And then you get the late goals like, oh, my goodness, we can finally rescue this series, only to get beat in overtime in a 3-0 lead, which is pretty much going to be insurmountable. If we're taking a look at the Conn Smythe Trophy odds, yeah, they're going to change on a day-to-day basis, particularly with Igor Shesterkin at a plus 550 price now, moving to the favorite over McDavid, McKinnon, and Makar at this point. Do we agree, Joe, with the price points right now where Shesterkin is at a plus 550 as the favorite?
I definitely agree with Igor Shesterkin being the favorite here. At plus 550, I think there's so much value still on him. Once a goalie is hot like this, they phenomenally stay hot. Igor Shesterkin is used to this postseason pressure as well. He's not going to tire down the stretch here, and I do think he's your best chance here of winning that money because at plus 550, there's value, and he's just way too hot right now to fade.
I got a little bit too excited earlier in the show, Jo. I said that Igor Shesterkin has had a streak of 40 consecutive playoff games holding his opponent to 3 goals or less. That's 30 straight playoff games at 3 goals or less, but dating back to the 2022 Stanley Cup playoff run for the New York Rangers. So, Jo, obviously the Rangers up 3-0. They'll have an opportunity to pull off their second consecutive sweep to start off the postseason against the Hurricanes tomorrow night in Carolina. Now, the Canes do remain a home ice favorite for game number 4. So, Jo, how long does this series go? Are we going to see a sweep this weekend, or might we return for a 5th game to Madison Square Garden?
I could almost see that 5th game coming, you guys. I would love to see the New York Rangers get the sweep, but a team with their backs against the wall like the Carolina Hurricanes, this team, if they can lock down on defense and not allow the New York Rangers to be able to score. They did hold the Rangers as well to no power play goals in the last game, which was phenomenal because this is a New York Rangers team that has been able to convert on those power plays during the postseason. So I do think Carolina is a scary team in game 4 in elimination situation. I don't want to bet against them at home. I'll be looking at the total in the next game, taking it to that under. I really do think defense will be the style of the next game, expecting that lower scoring, cautious game. It's the only way Carolina can get the win. Now, could the New York Rangers come out and get the sweep? Absolutely. This either finishes in 4 or it finishes in 5. I don't think it goes any deeper. I can't see some miraculous comeback here for the Carolina Hurricanes. This series, I think, is pretty much done.
Yeah, you take a look at no margin for error now there for the Carolina Hurricanes, one of the favorites to win the Stanley Cup, now on the brink of being eliminated in 4 games in round number 2. There was a doubleheader last night on the ice, and from the Western Conference, we watched Edmonton have a big lead and blow it only to get beat. You saw the Stars last night have a monster lead of 4-0, and before you could blink in the third period, that game was 4-3, but the Stars hold on to even that series against the Avalanche. Tough times there for the Avalanche, looking to go up and say, you know what, let's steal this game and go 2-0, but now we got a series now as it heads back to Colorado.
Yeah, this is a super exciting series, and I do think this series continues to be a high-scoring one. We've seen both of these games, Game 1 and Game 2, go over that total. The difference last night for the Dallas Stars was their ability on special teams. They were able to convert on that power play, went 2 for 5 on the power play, while really killing off the Colorado Avalanche. They held the Avs to no power play goals, and they had 3 opportunities. So special teams won it for them last night. We look at those goaltenders. Jake Ottinger was nice and strong, 28 of 31 shots on goal. He did save. Georgiev, on the other hand, he only stopped 26 of 30. We know that's the weakness of the Colorado Avalanche. And I think the biggest surprise for me was the huge playmakers here for Colorado were really shot down by the Dallas Stars last night. We saw Nathan McKinnon hold to only 3 shots on goal, Cale Makar as well. So that's not what the Colorado Avalanche need for success versus the Dallas Stars. They need their huge stars to be able to step up. They need to get past this defense, and they need to start off fast because, you know, we saw that game last night. They started off slow out there. Dallas got the lead. Dallas came out again strong in that second period. And if they play like that, they had 4 unanswered goals before Colorado decided to, you know, turn things on. The energy we had in that third period was the energy they needed to in the first, and they just didn't bring it.
It has been a series of runs in these 2 games between Dallas and Colorado. Of course, the opening game of the series, the Stars jumped out to a 3-0 lead after 1. Colorado scored 4 unanswered to win that opening game against Dallas. Last night, of course, things got a little bit dicey in Dallas with the Stars up 4-0 before Colorado scored 3 unanswered in the third, only for Dallas to edge it out with an empty netter late there at the end. So now, Joe, we go to the Mile High City tomorrow night, where the Avalanche return home after stealing one on the road in game number 1. It's pretty much a toss-up from the odds makers, a virtual series price pick'em between the Avs and the Stars. Which team do you have more confidence in this series?
It's Colorado, especially as Colorado returns home. I do think they can pick up the next win, and I do have more faith in them in the series here, as long as their big playmakers do come to play. Returning home to the Mile High City, we know they have the advantage, the leg up in that situation. And I just look at this team. I do think they have the talent on both sides of the puck. It's goaltending. It still comes down to me for Jake Ottinger has been fantastic for the Stars, but Colorado needs to step up. They need to get their special teams going in game 3 here, and I think they can do it. But this is going to be another game to the over and another game you want to live bet, because these teams aren't going to play in situations where one team gets completely blown out. That empty netter last night, you know, it came in those last seconds. So it's a hard one to look at that line, because it really was. It didn't count.
Yeah.
You know, 5-3
for sure
was really forced game.
I hear you. 2 games last night, 2 more on this Friday. Joe previews the doubleheader next.